My husband brought his mistress to our 16-year-old son's funeral and laughed at me for crying, telling me I was being dramatic over a kid who was never going to amount to anything anyway. 3 days later, I discovered something in my son's journal that would destroy him completely. The day I buried my son Marcus Jr. was October 15th. Gray skies, cold wind, the kind of day that feels like the world is mourning with you. Except my husband wasn't mourning. He was late. I stood at the graveside in Greenwood Cemetery, surrounded by 200 people who'd come to say goodbye to my baby. My beautiful, sensitive, talented boy who died when his car hit a tree on a straight road. No skid marks, no attempt to brake, just my 16-year-old son and a tree and silence. The pastor was mid-eulogy when I saw Marcus Sr. walking up the hill. And he wasn't alone. There was a woman with him, white, blonde, maybe 35, wearing a designer black dress that probably cost more than the flowers on my son's casket. She had her hand on my husband's arm, that possessive touch that said she had every right to be there, at my son's funeral. The crowd went silent. My mama grabbed my hand. My sister Denise whispered, "No, he didn't." But he did. Marcus Sr. walked right up to the front row where family sat, looked at me with those cold eyes I'd been seeing more and more of lately. The woman smiled. Actually smiled, like this was a garden party and not my son's burial. "Sorry we're late," Marcus said, not sounding sorry at all. "Traffic." Pastor Williams stumbled over his words, trying to continue. But everyone was staring, whispering. My son's friends from school looked confused and angry. My family looked murderous. I tried to focus on the casket, on saying goodbye to my baby, on the fact that in a few minutes they'd lower him into the ground and I'd never see his face again, never hear his laugh, never watch him paint in his room with that focused expression that made him look just like my daddy. But Marcus Sr. kept talking. To her, to Jennifer. That's what I'd later learn her name was, Jennifer Walsh. He was whispering to her, showing her his phone, and she was giggling, at our son's funeral. When it came time for family to say final words, I stood up. My legs barely held me. I walked to the casket and placed my hand on it. "My baby," I whispered. "My sweet, beautiful boy. Mama loves you so much. You were everything good in this world, everything pure and talented and kind. You were enough. You were always enough." I broke down then, sobbing, the kind of crying that comes from your soul, that empties you out. And that's when I heard it, Marcus Sr. laughing. Not a chuckle, not a guttural cough, a laugh. I turned around. Everyone turned around. "You're being dramatic, Charlene," he said, loud enough for people in the back to hear. The boy was never going to amount to anything anyway. Too soft, too artistic, too much like your side of the family. The crowd gasped. Someone said, "What the hell?" My brother Jerome started to stand up, but Mama held him back. Marcus continued, emboldened by whatever sickness was in him. He was heading nowhere. Probably better this way. Now we can move on without that disappointment weighing us down. "Marcus," his mother screamed. "That's your son." "That was my burden," he corrected. 16 years of watching him waste his time with painting and poetry and all that soft shit. Never playing sports right. Never toughening up. Always crying. Always too sensitive. I tried to make him a man. Clearly, I failed. Jennifer touched his arm, whispered something. He nodded. "We have to go anyway," Marcus said. "We have dinner reservations." Dinner reservations. While his son's body waited to be lowered into the ground. I don't remember moving. But suddenly, I was in front of him, my hand raised. My sister Denise caught it before I could slap him. "You need to leave," Pastor Williams said, his voice shaking with rage. "Right now, before I forget I'm a man of God." "We were just leaving," Marcus said. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw it. Disgust. Pure disgust. "Pull yourself together, Charlene. This victim act is tired." he walked away. Jennifer tottered after him in her heels. They got in his BMW and drove away. Left our son's funeral. Left 200 people standing there in shock. My cousin Michael, who was recording the service, had caught everything on video. The laugh, the words, the callousness. Within hours, it would be shared privately among family. The evidence of who Marcus Sr. really was. The funeral continued, but it was ruined. People were angry, whispering, crying for me and for Marcus Jr. My son's best friend, a kid named Darius, spoke. "Marcus was the best person I knew," Darius said, his voice cracking. "He was kind when everyone else was cruel. He saw beauty in everything. He made everyone around him better. And his dad never saw it. Never saw how special he was. Marcus used to tell me his dad said he was too soft. Get real men don't paint. That he was an embarrassment. He looked right at where Marcus Sr. had been standing. Mr. Williams was wrong. Marcus was more of a man at 16 than some people will ever be. And wherever Marcus is now, he knows the truth. He knows he mattered. He knows he was loved. By everyone except the one person who should have loved him most. Everyone was crying then. The boys from school, the girls who'd had crushes on Marcus Jr., the teachers who'd recognized his talent, the neighbors who'd watched him grow up. They lowered my baby into the ground while I screamed. Mama and Denise held me up. Jerome and my brother-in-law David stood like sentries on either side, their faces carved from stone and rage. At the repast at my mama's house, nobody talked about anything else. "I never liked that man," Mama said. "But this is evil, Charlene. Pure evil." "Who is that woman?" Denise demanded. "His mistress? He brought his mistress to his son's funeral?" My Aunt Patricia, who worked at the bank, spoke up quietly. "I've seen them together, at restaurants, hotels, for at least 2 years now. I didn't tell you, Charlene, because I didn't know how." 2 years. He'd been cheating for 2 years, while I took care of our son. While I worked my nursing job and came home to cook dinner and help with homework and support Marcus Jr.'s dreams that his father constantly crushed. "I'm going to kill him," Jerome said simply. "I'm literally going to kill him." "No," I said. My voice sounded strange, empty. "No, you're not. Because killing him is too easy, too quick. I want him to suffer, the way our baby suffered, the way I'm suffering right now." Everyone went quiet. "P, what are you going to do?" Denise asked. "I don't know yet," I said, "but something that makes him feel even a fraction of this pain." I went home that night to an empty house. Marcus Sr. didn't come home. He was probably with her, with Jennifer, in whatever apartment or hotel they used for their affair. I walked through rooms full of memories, Marcus Jr.'s jacket still hanging by the door, his shoes by the stairs. His backpack in the hallway, still packed with textbooks he'd never use. I couldn't go in his room, couldn't face it yet. So I slept on the couch, or tried to. Mostly I stared at the ceiling and wondered how I'd survive this, how I'd wake up tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, in a world without my son. How I'd share a life with a man who'd laughed at my grief, who'd called our son a disappointment, who'd brought his mistress to the funeral. I didn't know it then, but 3 days later, I'd find Marcus Jr.'s journal, and everything would change. The grief would still be there. The unbearable weight of losing my child would never lift. But it would be joined by something else. Something cold and focused and absolutely certain. My husband had destroyed our son's spirit, had mocked him in death, had discarded us both like we were nothing. And I was going to make him pay for it. Every single betrayal, every cruel word, every moment he'd made our boy feel less than. I was going to take everything from him, his reputation, his money, his freedom, his future, the way he'd taken everything from me. starting with the journal I'd find in 3 days, the one that would reveal my son's final thoughts, the one that would show me exactly how deep my husband's cruelty went, and the one that would give me the ammunition to destroy him completely. 3 days after I buried my son, I finally opened his bedroom door. I'd been avoiding it. Couldn't bear to see his easel by the window, his paintings covering the walls, his bed still unmade from the last morning he'd woken up in it. But I needed to do something with my hands, something to keep me from drowning completely. So I decided to start packing his things, creating memory boxes. The room smelled like him. That combination of paint thinner, the coconut oil he used on his hair, and the cologne I'd bought him for his birthday. I sat on his bed and let myself break down again, pressed my face into his pillow and sobbed. After an hour, maybe 2, I started going through his desk. School papers, college brochures, sketches of everything and nothing. And then I found it, tucked between his mattress and box spring, a leather journal I'd given him for Christmas 2 years ago. My hands shook as I opened it. The first entries were normal. Teenage thoughts about school, friends, a girl he liked named Jasmine, his excitement about being accepted into the advanced art program, his plans for his portfolio. But as I read further, the tone changed, got darker, more painful. Entry from 6 months ago. Dad came to my art show today. I was so excited. I thought maybe this time he'd see my work and be proud. He looked at my paintings for maybe 30 seconds. Then he said, "When are you going to do something real with your life, boy? This art stuff is a waste of time." He left before the award ceremony. I won first place. He doesn't know. He'll never know, because I'm not going to tell him. Entry from 4 months ago. Dad brought a woman to my basketball game today. A white woman. Introduced her as his colleague from work. But I saw how he touched her back. How he smiled at her. He never smiles at Mom like that. Never smiles at me at all. After the game, they went to his car, and I watched them kiss. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to tell Mom. But how do I tell her that her husband, my father, is cheating on her? How do I break her heart like that? I was crying so hard I could barely see the pages, but I kept reading. Entry from 2 months ago. Dad pulled me aside today and told me I'm an embarrassment, said I'm too soft, too feminine, that no son of his should be spending his time painting flowers and writing poetry. He said, "You know what the problem is? You're too much like your mother's side, too emotional, too black, too ghetto." Too black? Like being black is something to be ashamed of? He's black too, or he used to be, before he started trying to be something else, before her. The words blurred. I had to put the journal down, press my fists into my eyes to stop the tears long enough to keep reading. Entry from 3 weeks ago. I got into Howard, full scholarship, full ride for their art program. I'm so happy I could cry. This is everything I've dreamed of. But there's a problem. I can't find my acceptance letter. I know it came because I got the email confirmation, but the physical letter they sent to the house is gone. I think Dad took it. I think he hid it from me. My stomach dropped. Marcus Sr. had stolen our son's acceptance letter. Last entry, dated October 13th, 2 days before the accident. Dad brought her to my basketball game again today. This time, he didn't even pretend she was a colleague. He had his arm around her the whole time. After the game, he pulled me aside. I thought maybe he was going to say good job. We'd won. I'd actually played well. Instead, he said, "I need you to understand something. Your mother and I are done. I'm moving on with my life. With Jennifer. She's pregnant. Finally going to give me a real son. One I can be proud of. One who's not going to waste his life on some ghetto art bullshit. One who knows how to be a man. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My vision went black around the edges. The entry continued. A real son. Like I'm not real. Like I'm just some mistake he's been tolerating. He said Jennifer's baby will be better than me. Stronger. Less sensitive. Less black. That's what he meant. He's having a baby with a white woman so he can erase us. Erase me. Erase Mom. Erase everything about himself he's ashamed of. He looked me in the eye and said, "Do us both a favor. When I leave, don't call me. Don't ask for anything. Just accept that you were never the son I wanted." I asked him about Howard, about my acceptance letter. He laughed. He said, "I threw that shit away. You're not going to some art school to embarrass me further. You're going to community college or getting a job. Real men don't paint." Then he walked away, went to her, left me standing there in the parking lot feeling like I couldn't breathe. I drove home, but I couldn't go inside, couldn't face Mom and pretend everything was okay. So I just drove, and I thought about how easy it would be to just keep driving, to just close my eyes and let go, to stop being a disappointment, to stop feeling like I'm too much and not enough at the same time. Maybe everyone would be better off. Mom could move on without having to watch Dad destroy me piece by piece. Dad could have his perfect new family with his perfect new son who won't embarrass him. And I could finally stop hurting. Sometimes I think about that tree on Old Mill Road, the big oak. How if I was going fast enough, it would be quick, painless. And this feeling, this crushing weight of being unwanted by the person who's supposed to love me unconditionally, would finally end. I'm so tired of trying to be good enough, of trying to make him proud, of trying to be the son he wanted instead of the son I am. I just want it to stop hurting. The journal fell from my hands. My son. My baby. He'd been suicidal. He'd been planning it. And 2 days after writing this, he died driving into that exact tree he mentioned. The oak on Old Mill Road. It wasn't an accident. Marcus Jr. had killed himself because his father had destroyed him piece by piece until there was nothing left. I screamed, a sound I didn't know I was capable of making, primal and broken and full of rage that had nowhere to go. Denise came running. She'd been downstairs making food I wasn't eating. "Char, what happened?" "What?" I shoved the journal at her. Couldn't speak, could only sob while she read. I watched her face change. Shock, horror, then pure fury. "That motherfucker," she whispered. "That evil motherfucker killed him. He killed Marcus Jr. I have to." I couldn't finish, couldn't form words. "What do you need? Tell me what you need." "I need a lawyer, a private investigator, a forensic accountant." My voice was steel now. Cold and hard and deadly. "I need to know everything. Every lie, every dollar, every moment of his double life. And then I need to destroy him." "Done. I know people. I'll make calls right now." She pulled out her phone, started texting. Within an hour, my living room was full of people. Denise's friend Michelle, a private investigator who specialized in infidelity cases. My cousin Troy, a forensic accountant who'd worked with the FBI. And Diane Carter, a divorce attorney with a reputation for destroying unfaithful husbands in court. A dark-skinned black woman in her 50s who'd built her career on making cheaters pay. I showed them the journal, told them everything. The funeral, the mistress, my suspicions about the accident. Diane read the journal entry twice, her jaw tight. This is evidence of emotional abuse and potentially criminal neglect. A good lawyer could argue he contributed to your son's death. I don't just want a good argument, I said. I want to take everything from him. Everything he has, everything he is. I want him to lose it all. Then let's get to work. Michelle, the PI, started immediately. I need access to his computer, his phone records, credit card statements, anything you have. He keeps his laptop in his office. Password is Jennifer 2020. Found that out by accident 6 months ago. Thought it was a client name. Troy, the accountant, pulled out his tablet. I'll need bank statements, tax returns, business records. Your husband owns a construction company, right? Patterson Construction. Been his for 15 years. Perfect. Construction companies are notorious for hiding money and cutting corners. If he's been sloppy, I'll find it. They worked for 2 days straight. I sat in my house in a fog, staring at my son's journal, reading those words over and over. A real son, one I can be proud of. Marcus Sr. didn't come home, didn't call, didn't check on me. Just disappeared into his other life. On the 3rd day, they called a meeting. Michelle went first. Your husband has been having an affair with Jennifer Walsh for 3 years, not 2. She's an interior designer. They met when he hired her for his office renovation. They have apartment together in Buckhead. Lease in both names. He pays it, she decorated it. She pulled up photos on her laptop. Marcus and Jennifer at restaurants. Holding hands, kissing, getting into cars together. Vacations to Miami, New York, Los Angeles. She's 36, never married, no kids, until now. She's 5 months pregnant. They've been telling people, their people, not yours, that they're engaged. Planning to get married after his divorce is finalized. Divorce he hasn't filed for, Diane noted. Because he's waiting. Setting things up first. Troy jumped in. Which brings me to the money. Charlene, your husband has been systematically stealing from you for at least 18 months. Remember your father's life insurance payout? $800,000? I nodded. Daddy had died 2 years ago, left everything to me. Marcus forged your signature on documents to move that money into accounts you don't have access to. Some in Jennifer's name, some in LLC shell companies he set up. He's hidden roughly $950,000 in assets. Money that's legally yours. The rage that filled me was cold, calculated. There's more, Troy continued. His construction company has been using substandard materials and bribing inspectors. I found payments to city officials, evidence of code violations he covered up. The community center he built in the West End, the low-income housing in Mechanicsville, they're structural hazards. Foundations are compromised. Electrical isn't up to code. People are living in buildings that could collapse or catch fire. Black families, black children, in buildings my husband had built, knowing they were dangerous because it saved him money. He's not just a cheater, I said slowly. He's a criminal. Yes, Diane said, and we're going to use every bit of this to bury him. She laid out the plan. File for divorce with evidence of adultery and financial abuse. File criminal charges for forgery and embezzlement of my inheritance. Report him to the Georgia State Licensing Board for construction fraud. Contact the families in his buildings and help them file a class action lawsuit. Make sure every bit of his cruelty was documented, recorded, and used against him. I want one more thing, I said. I want to talk to Jennifer. Charlene, Denise started. She needs to know who she's having a baby with, what he really is, and I want to see her face when she realizes she's been set up. Michelle found Jennifer's number. I called from a blocked number that evening. Hello? Jennifer Walsh? Yes. Who is this? This is Charlene Patterson, Marcus's wife. Then, defensive. What do you want? I want you to know what you're having a baby with. Did Marcus tell you about our son's funeral? He said it was difficult, that you made a scene. I laughed, bitter. Did he tell you that he brought you to our 16-year-old son's funeral? That he laughed at me while I cried over my child's casket? That he said our son was a disappointment who was better off dead? That's not... He wouldn't. I have it on video. Would you like me to send it to you? You're lying. Am I? Ask him. Ask Marcus if he called our dead son a burden at his funeral. Ask him if he said Marcus Jr. was never going to amount to anything. Ask him if he told me it was probably better this way. I heard her breathing change. Quick, panicked. Did he tell you Marcus Jr. was suicidal? I continued. That he read his journal the night before he drove into that tree? Did he tell you our son knew about your pregnancy? That Marcus told him 2 days before he died that you were going to give him a real son? One he could actually be proud of? Did he mention that part? Oh my God. Marcus Jr. killed himself, Jennifer, and his father's rejection was the reason. His father choosing you over him. His father telling him he was worthless. That's what killed my son. She was crying now. Good. And one more thing you should know. Those bank accounts in your name, the ones with my stolen inheritance, you're named as a co-conspirator in embezzlement charges. Marcus has been setting you up to take the fall if this goes bad. You're not his future, Jennifer. You're his backup plan. I hung up. 2 hours later, Diane called. Jennifer Walsh just contacted me. She wants to testify against Marcus. Said she had no idea about the financial crimes and she's willing to cooperate fully. Good, I said. Charlene, are you sure you want to do this? Once we start, there's no going back. This will destroy him. I looked at my son's journal, still sitting on my coffee table. He destroyed my son. Now I destroy him. File everything. Tomorrow. Consider it done. That night, I went to Marcus Jr.'s grave, brought his journal with me. Baby, I whispered, kneeling on the cold ground. Mama knows now. I know what he did to you, what he said to you, how he made you feel, and I'm so sorry. So sorry I didn't see it, didn't protect you from him. I pressed my hand to the headstone, but I'm going to make him pay, baby, for every tear you cried, for every dream he crushed, for taking you from me. He's going to lose everything. And your name, your memory, your beautiful spirit, that's going to live on, I promise you. The wind picked up, leaves scattered across the grave, and for just a moment, I felt something, a warmth, a presence. My son letting me know he heard me. I stood up, wiped my tears, and walked back to my car. Tomorrow, the destruction began, and Marcus Sr. had no idea what was coming. 2 months after I buried my son, I executed my plan with surgical precision. Day 1 started at 9 a.m. Marcus was at his construction site in Bankhead, standing with his foreman and 3 potential clients, showing them plans for a new development. The process server walked right up to him. Marcus Patterson? Yeah? You've been served. Marcus took the papers, confused at first. Then his face went white as he read. Divorce petition. Evidence of adultery attached. Photos of him and Jennifer at restaurants, hotels, entering their Buckhead apartment. Marcus Jr.'s journal entries about the affair, about being told he wasn't wanted, about his father stealing his college acceptance letter. His clients looked at each other uncomfortably. Marcus, what's this about? His foreman asked. Before he could answer, 2 more people approached, a detective and a representative from the district attorney's office. Mr. Patterson, you're under arrest for embezzlement and forgery. The detective pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. What? This is insane. Charlene, that bitch is lying. They cuffed him in front of his entire crew. His clients backed away. One of them was recording on his phone. As they walked him to the police car, a 3rd person approached his foreman, a building inspector with the city. We're shutting down this site pending investigation. We've received credible reports of code violations, use of substandard materials, and bribery of city officials. Marcus was screaming now. You can't do this. I have rights. Charlene, this is because of that dead boy, isn't it? She's trying to ruin me over that disappointment. The detective shoved him into the car. Keep talking. Everything you say is being recorded. By noon, it was all over the local news. Prominent Atlanta builder arrested. Fraud investigation underway. By 2 p.m., the state licensing board had suspended his contractor's license. By 5 p.m., the families living in his buildings had been contacted by Troy, my forensic accountant, about structural problems. A class action lawsuit was being filed. I watched it all unfold from Diane's office. She had news stations streaming on multiple screens. Channel 5 just got footage of the arrest, she said, and they have audio of him calling his son that disappointment. It's going to air on the 6 o'clock news. Perfect. My phone rang. Unknown number. What? I answered. You vindictive bitch, Jennifer, hysterical. You've destroyed him. He's been arrested. His business is ruined. How could you? How could I? Jennifer, did you ask him about the funeral? About what he said? Silence. You did, didn't you? And he couldn't deny it, because I have video. He laughed at our son's funeral and called him worthless. So don't call me vindictive. Call me a mother who's making sure the man who killed her son's spirit pays for it. He didn't kill. Read the journal entries I sent your lawyer. Marcus Jr. was suicidal because his father told him he was getting a real son with you. Because Marcus stole his college acceptance letter. Because he made him feel like existing was a disappointment. My son drove into a tree 2 days after your boyfriend told him he was being replaced. So yes, Jennifer, he killed him. She was sobbing now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know any of this. Well, now you do. And by the way, those accounts in your name, the DA is very interested in talking to you. Might want to get a lawyer. He said those were legitimate business accounts. He lied about everything to both of us. Welcome to clarity. I hung up. That evening, I sat with Mama and Denise, watching the news coverage. Marcus's mugshot flashed on screen. He looked destroyed, shocked, like he couldn't believe this was happening. Then they showed a clip from Marcus Jr.'s first. The affair, the embezzlement, the construction fraud, the buildings at risk. Then they showed a clip from Marcus Jr.'s funeral. My cousin Michael had given them the video. Marcus Sr. laughing, saying our son was never going to amount to anything. The news anchor looked genuinely disgusted. Patterson made these comments at his own son's funeral, just days before the 16-year-old's death was ruled a possible suicide by investigators reviewing the case. Possible suicide. The police had reopened the investigation after I gave them the journal. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Family, friends, people from church. All of them calling to say they'd seen the news. They couldn't believe it. They were praying for me. Marcus's family called too. His mother was sobbing. Charlene, baby, I am so sorry. I knew my son was cruel, but I never knew about Marcus Jr.'s journal, about what he said at the funeral. I failed my grandson. I failed you. Mrs. Patterson, no, let me say this. What my son did is unforgivable. Mocking that baby at his funeral. Stealing his college letter. Having an affair while that child was suffering. I will never forgive him, and I don't expect you to either. 3 days later, Marcus made bail. $100,000 his mother had to borrow against her house because all his assets were frozen. He came straight to our house, pounded on the door. I changed the locks and filed a restraining order, but I'd been expecting this. My brother Jerome and brother-in-law David were waiting inside with me. I opened the door. Marcus looked terrible. Unshaven, wild-eyed, desperate. You're destroying my life, he screamed. Over what? That boy? He was weak. He couldn't handle reality. Jerome stepped forward, but I held up my hand. His name was Marcus Jr., I said, my voice cold. And you didn't just fail him. You killed him. You told him he was worthless until he believed it. You stole his future. You replaced him before he was even dead. You destroyed his spirit piece by piece until he drove into that tree. That's not my fault. He was too sensitive, too soft. I tried to make him strong. You tried to make him hate himself, and you succeeded. He wrote about it, about you, about how you told him he was an embarrassment. about how you said Jennifer was giving you a real son. He wrote it all down 2 days before he died. Marcus's face went pale. You read his journal? Every word. Every entry about you rejecting him, mocking him, stealing his college acceptance letter so he couldn't pursue his dreams, making him feel like being alive was a disappointment. I didn't. I was trying to prepare him for the real world. You were trying to destroy everything about him that reminded you of yourself. Everything black, everything sensitive, everything real. And when you couldn't change him, you decided to get a new son with a white woman so you could start over. He lunged at me. Jerome and David grabbed him, slammed him against the porch railing. Your life is over, Marcus, I said quietly. Your company is gone. Your license is suspended. You're facing criminal charges. Your family has disowned you. Jennifer left you, and everyone knows what you are now. Everyone knows you mocked your dead son at his funeral. This is all your fault. No, this is consequences. This is you finally paying for who you really are. A man who hated his son for being himself, who chose an affair over his family, who stole from his wife and endangered black families with shoddy buildings to save money. This is justice. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called them. You violated your restraining order, I said. That's more jail time. They arrested him again, right there on my porch. As they put him in the car, he screamed at me, I'm going to destroy you. I'll take everything. You'll regret this. I already lost everything when my son died. You can't take anything else from me. But I took everything from you. And Marcus, I'm just getting started. The police car drove away. Denise put her arm around me. You okay? She asked. No, I said honestly, but I will be, once I finish this. What's next? She asked. I thought about Marcus Jr.'s paintings in his room, his dreams, his journal full of hopes that his father had crushed. Next, I make sure his death means something, that his story saves someone else's son, that his legacy is more than his father's cruelty. How? I'm going to build something in his name, something that helps kids like him, kids who are told they're too sensitive, too soft, too much. I'm going to make sure no other child dies feeling unwanted. With what money? I smiled, cold, with every penny I take from Marcus in the divorce, with the settlement from the lawsuit, with everything I get from destroying the man who destroyed our son. That's my sister, Denise said. Inside, I looked at my son's journal one more time. I'm doing this for you, baby. All of it. Your father wanted to erase you. Instead, I'm going to make you immortal. And Marcus Sr. would spend the rest of his life knowing that his cruelty had been the seed of something beautiful. That was the real revenge, not just destroying him, but building something from the ashes that would outlive us all. 1 year after Marcus Jr.'s death, I stood in front of a renovated building on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive holding a giant pair of scissors. The banner above me read, Marcus Jr. Williams Center for Young Artists. Grand opening. 200 people crowded the sidewalk. Local officials, community members, families, and dozens of teenagers clutching art portfolios. The building behind me, 3 stories of light and possibility, sat exactly where Marcus Sr.'s condemned community center had been demolished. I'd used every penny from the divorce settlement, every dollar from the class action lawsuit that families had won against Patterson Construction, every cent I could raise from donors who'd been moved by my son's story. $2.3 million total. All of it poured into this moment. Mama stood beside me, tears streaming down her face. Denise held my other hand. In the front row, I saw Marcus Jr.'s friends from school. Darius, Jasmine, Tommy, all wearing purple t-shirts with my son's face on them. His beautiful smile frozen in time. The mayor stepped to the microphone first. Today, we celebrate not just a building, but a legacy. Marcus Jr. Williams was a young man of extraordinary talent whose life was cut tragically short. His mother, Charlene, has transformed her grief into something that will change countless lives. I barely heard the speech. I was watching the teenagers, seeing their eyes light up as they looked at the building, at the promise of what was inside. Finally, it was my turn to speak. My son Marcus Jr. was told his entire life by his father that art was worthless. I began, my voice steady despite the tears. That sensitivity was weakness, that creativity was a waste. Those lies killed his spirit, and eventually they killed him. The crowd went silent. You could hear car horns in the distance, but nothing else. Marcus took his own life because he believed he was a disappointment. Because the man who was supposed to love him unconditionally made loving himself impossible. I found his journal after he died. In it, he wrote about his dreams, about getting into Howard University on a full scholarship for art, about wanting to use his talent to tell Black stories, to paint Black joy, to show the world that we are beautiful. I pulled out my phone, showed the crowd a photo of Marcus Jr.'s journal entry, his handwriting, his hope. His father stole his acceptance letter, threw it away, told him no son of his was going to waste his life drawing pictures. 2 days later, my baby was gone. People were crying openly now. I saw mothers holding their sons closer, fathers looking ashamed, perhaps seeing themselves in Marcus Sr.'s cruelty. I can't bring my son back, but I can make sure his death means something. This center is for every child told they're too soft, too sensitive, too artistic, too much. This is for every Black boy told he needs to be harder, colder, more masculine to matter. This is for every young person whose dreams are crushed by people who should protect them. I gestured to the building behind me. Inside these walls, we have professional art studios, music rooms, dance spaces, a theater, and most importantly, we have therapists, licensed counselors who specialize in working with Black youth. Because I learned too late that my son was depressed, anxious, suicidal, and he didn't feel safe telling me because he thought he had to be strong, had to handle it alone. My voice cracked. Mama squeezed my hand. This center provides everything free. Free art classes, free therapy, free college prep for students pursuing creative careers. Free meals, because I know some of these kids come from homes where food isn't guaranteed. Free safety, because I know some of them don't feel safe at home. I looked directly at the teenagers in the crowd. If you're here because someone told you that you're not enough, I need you to hear this. They lied. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's strength. Your creativity is not worthless. It's powerful. Your emotions are not flaws. They're what make you human. You are enough, exactly as you are. The applause started then, thunderous, building. I saw teenage boys crying, being hugged by their mothers, fathers wiping their eyes. On this wall, I pointed to the exterior where a massive mural had been painted. Is my son's face, surrounded by his artwork. And these words, your dreams are valid. Your voice matters. Your life has purpose. That's what I wish I told him every single day until he believed it. I cut the ribbon. The crowd surged forward. Teenagers rushed inside, gasping at the light-filled studios, the professional equipment, the walls covered in Black art. I hung back, watching through the windows. A young boy, maybe 14, stood in front of an easel, tears streaming down his face. His mother stood beside him. You can really use this? For free? He asked the program director. Everything here is free. Forever. The boy turned to his mother. Mama, I can paint. I can actually paint. She hugged him tight. I know, baby. I know. I had to walk away then. Found myself around the corner, sobbing into my hands. Denise found me. You did it, Char. You really did it. I just wish he was here to see it. He is. I believe that. Marcus Jr. is here. He's in every kid who walks through those doors. Every dream that doesn't get crushed. Every life that doesn't end the way his did. Over the next 6 months, the center served 347 young people. We provided therapy to 89 kids who were having suicidal thoughts. We helped 23 students apply to art schools. We gave 156 kids a safe place to be themselves. And I heard from them. Letters, emails, messages. I was going to kill myself last month. My dad said I was too soft, that I'd never make it as a man. I came to the center and talked to a counselor. I'm still here because of you. My family says art is for girls, but I got in. I'm going to an art school this fall. They want me to play football, but I hate football. I love drawing. The center is the only place I can be myself. I got in SCAD because of your college prep program. Full scholarship. I'm going to be an animator. My parents didn't think it was possible, but you did. Every message broke me open and put me back together. 6 months after the opening, I was in my office at the center when the receptionist called. Charlene, someone's here to see you. Says it's important. I walked out. And there stood Jennifer. She looked different, thinner, tired, holding a baby carrier with a sleeping infant inside. I know I have no right to be here, she said quietly, but I needed to come. Why? Because I owe you an apology, a real one. Not the bullshit I said on the phone. I was complicit in destroying your family. I believed Marcus's lies about you, about Marcus Jr. I let him trash talk a child I'd never met. I stood next to him at that funeral and didn't stop him. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked at the baby, a brown-skinned boy with Marcus Sr.'s features. That's Jacob, Jennifer said. He's 6 months old. And Charlene, I'm terrified. Terrified I'm going to raise him the way Marcus would have wanted. Terrified he's going to grow up hating himself, hating his blackness. I don't know how to raise a black son. I don't know how to protect him from the world, from his father's internalized racism. Where's Marcus? Prison. He got 5 years for the embezzlement and fraud. I haven't spoken to him since Jacob was born. He called once from jail, asked to see the baby. I said no. Good. I need help, Charlene. I need to know about Marcus Jr., about who he was, what he loved, what broke him. So I can make sure Jacob never feels that way. So I can raise him to love himself, all of himself. I should have said no. Should have told her to figure it out herself. But I looked at that baby, innocent and perfect, and thought about my son. Come inside, I said. We sat in my office for 3 hours. I showed her photos of Marcus Jr., his paintings, his journal, the good parts, the dreams, the joy, his acceptance letter to Howard that I'd gotten from the school. He was brilliant, Jennifer whispered. Marcus said he was troubled, that he was headed nowhere. But he was brilliant. Yes, thanks. And his father destroyed that brilliance because he hated seeing himself reflected back. I won't do that to Jacob. I swear I won't. Then you need to let him be black, fully black. Don't try to erase it or minimize it. Don't let white family members make racist comments around him. Don't let him grow up thinking his blackness is something to overcome. I've already cut off thy parents. They said Jacob was too dark when he was born. I haven't spoken to them since. Good. And Jennifer, bring him here, to the center. Let him grow up surrounded by black art, black joy, black excellence. Let him see what his father tried to erase. She started crying. Thank you. You don't owe me anything, but thank you. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for him. No child deserves to grow up hating themselves. She brought Jacob to the center twice a month after that. Let him play in the children's program. Hung his finger paintings in her apartment. Told him about his half-brother who loved art. 8 months after the center opened, I got a call from a reporter at CNN. Ms. Williams, we'd like to do a feature on the Marcus Jr. Williams Center. Your story has resonated nationally. Parents are reaching out asking how to replicate your model in other cities. The interview aired during prime time. They showed the center, interviewed kids we'd helped, shared Marcus Jr.'s story, showed his paintings. The response was overwhelming. Donations poured in. Other cities reached out wanting to partner. Foundations offered grants. Within a year, We'd opened satellite locations in 3 more cities. I was invited to speak at conferences about youth mental health, about toxic masculinity, about how we're killing Black boys by telling them emotions are weakness. And every speech, every interview, every ribbon cutting, I made sure people knew my son's name, Marcus Jr. Williams. Not Marcus Sr.'s victim, not that dead boy his father had called him. Marcus Jr. Williams. Artist, dreamer, beautiful soul who deserved better. 2 years after his death, I visited his grave on his birthday. He would have been 18. Would have been finishing his first year at Howard. "Happy birthday, baby," I whispered. "Mama brought you something." I showed him photos on my phone. The center, the kids, the expansion, the lives saved. You saved them, Marcus. Your story, your pain, it's saving other kids every day. You're a hero, baby. My beautiful, sensitive, artistic hero. I felt that warmth again, that presence. My son letting me know he saw. He knew. He was proud. Your father's in prison. Lost everything. But baby, you won. Your legacy is changing the world. His is rotting in a cell. You won. I stood up, touched the headstone one last time. And Marcus? I'm okay now. Still miss you every second. Still cry. But I'm okay. Because you gave me purpose. You gave me this mission. And I'm gonna spend the rest of my life making sure your death meant something. The wind picked up. Leaves danced around the grave. And I smiled through my tears. I love you, baby boy, forever. I walked away from that grave, carrying my son's legacy in my heart. And somewhere, Marcus Sr. sat in a cell, knowing his cruelty had birthed something beautiful he'd never destroy. That was the real victory. Not revenge. Resurrection.